Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the M+M Hobbies YouTube channel. Today, this is layout update number 2. As you can see, a lot of progress has been made to the layout since layout update number 1. If you haven't watched layout update number 1, I highly suggest you watch layout update number 1, see how far this layout has come along. I'm going to start the layout update tour here at the rail yard. Not much has been made at the rail yard, except a lot of this gravel, the ballast, has been put down. Now across the double track main line, a lot of progress has been made. So this is start of the progress that has been made. I have added a lot of trees, a lot of shrubs, and grass by the road that goes to the rail yard. On the other side of the road, I've also added a bunch of more trees and shrubs and grass. Continuing from the trees and shrubs, I added a parking lot, and I also added a little shopping center from Walters. In the future, I plan to add some dumpsters, like a bench, and some vehicles parked in the parking lot, but that's going to come in layout update number 3, I hope. Continuing along into the residential part of my layout, I've added 4 houses, a 1-story house, a 2-story blue house, a green and brown 2-story house, and also a cottage. Farther along, I added a lot more trees and shrubs into this part by the river. Last layout update, I had all these trees and shrubs and a little path going into the riverbed and the tennis court falling along here into the train station. The new addition has been scenerizing this entire river and lake. Along the rock faces, I painted gray and then a darker black color for accents. I added some shrubs along the lake bed, as well as a little trickle from a stream coming off layout. Continuing on here, I added a little bit of rock pile. Then I added some rapids that I still have yet to detail a bit more next summer. Then I detailed this little island, adding a tree, some shrubs. And then I also added another stream coming off layout, pouring into the river as well. I also put some of this grass around here to make it a little bit more complete. Then I created this waterfall by Woodland Scenics Water Effects, going over this trestle. Then I added this rock face cliff, and I added some rocks underneath. Then I also painted the rocks the same way I painted these rocks over here. Over here I also added another pile of rocks. And on this side, I also added another rock cliff. Over here, I created a little barrier to prevent the Woodland Scenics from pouring off the edge of this layout. Continuing along, not a lot of progress has been made over in here in this Cape Cod house, but a lot of progress has been made over here. This is a fire station that I built, and I've also added a fire truck here. The fire truck isn't in its actual final spot. Then continuing along over here, this hill over here has not had a lot of change done to it, but I have added a lot of grass from over by the double track main line. Then I also added this little gravel road that's kind of paved as well. And I also added some maintenance trucks. Continuing along on the passing siding, I added a lot of grass and some shrubs, and also a little padded down gravel road for where all those trucks are parked. And I've also continued all the way over to where the Mesa meets, and I also added a tree in the corner. This summer I also put together some structures like this cement factory and a storage tank, and I've also put scenery and gravel around this warehouse. Continuing along by the passing siding, I added a tree, some shrubs, and some gravel by the switch. Then I also added a little gravel road coming from the main road, a little gravel road going into the industrial center. Here I also added some gravel around the storage tank and some grass that's growing in between the gravel. I still have yet to scenerize this bit of grass that's right here, but continuing over here I have this warehouse and some gravel behind it, so I had the track as well. Now, this is the Mesa. This summer, I put a lot of grass down here, grass in between the tracks, and more grass up here, continuing with the road. I've also painted some of the rock faces along the mesa, as well as here in the center part of the mesa. Now that you've seen the entirety of this layout, let's start talking about what I plan to do in the future. A lot of progress will be made here in the rail yard in the next couple weeks, starting with putting another switch right here that continues out, and I'm going to get rid of this section of the mesa and turn it into a bigger rail yard for a locomotive facility and maybe there's another storage track for locomotives. Since I'm adding a switch right here, this outer track is going to become shorter. So in adjacent to that, I'm going to switch out all of these track bumpers into the track bumpers like this. So it looks a little bit more realistic in my opinion. I also plan to extend this track up here, up to here. And I'm also going to reballast this entire area with ballast I prefer, which looks kind of more like this, just a wooden Cynics version. So all this ballast is going to be replaced. So around here, I plan to redo some of my scenery, and I also plan to detail some of the more waterfall and some more of the rapids. So now that you know that this part of Mesa will be taken out, what's going to happen with this? I personally am not really happy with how the Mesa turned out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create tunnels, and I'm going to make a big mountain. So I'm going to build this up a bit higher, detail some mountains, and up here, around here, I'll add like a little path along the mountain, and I'll add a cabin. And I'm also going to get rid of this railroad museum. I'm going to use some of this track for the expansion of the rail yard. And I also plan to maybe make a shorter museum with these two tracks, maybe farther along in this rail yard, in the layout. So now that I'm giving myself a lot of work to do on the layout, I might as well get started. So this will finish up the layout update tour. I hope to have a lot of scenery and a new mountain done by the next layout update, which will appear next summer probably. And I hope you stay tuned for that. Also, make sure to subscribe and leave a like in the video. That would help us a great lot. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers. So, that's it. Goodbye. See ya. Peace.